How's it going, Martians? Jade back with another Martian report. In this, we're going to be doing a technical analysis video. I haven't done one of these in a minute, right? But we're seeing some pretty interesting price moves right now, and we have some rather interesting supports being hit here multiple times, in addition to seeing after our run-up, the sell volume went into oblivion, and now we're seeing escalating buy volume as we're still up in this 26.5 cent range. So what we're going to do here is we're going to lay a few trend lines based upon where the price is topping out right now, along with where it was back before our original dump down to 24 cents here on Bitstamp, right? So what we are seeing now is a channeling, essentially, where the price, I'm going to get my line set up here, right? So we have ascending support here ever since our dump back on August 15th down to the 22-cent range. And we've since created a nice, strong level of support here back on the 12th, where we continued to bounce a little bit higher and higher ever since. We couldn't be pushed below like a lot of people were claiming was going to happen. So our other alternative, since we can't push the price any lower for some good returns on trade, the price is now going to be pushed higher. So where should we expect that to go? I'm going to change the colors here on these lines to white, just so they're a little bit more clear, or a little more visible on the black background here. So this has been our trading channel for all intents and purposes since our dump to 22. We did have a bit of trading up above, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to draw another trend support off of these ranges, right? So what we can see here when I lay this out, and let me line this up with our previous run up here. Okay, so what becomes clear here relatively quickly is that when we dumped down to the 24-cent range, that was due to not being able to break a descending resistance that we had ever since our dump down from what was a peak at 33 cents. And so we don't technically have an overhead descending resistance that has been in play for any kind of serious period of time, right? So when we draw a resistance trend that we try to fit to this based off of at least 3 points of contact, right? We also find that where we went with this surge up is actually even further above what could have been a resistance trend that we would have started back on the 18th of August. So once again, this trend line is now invalid, this second line that I just drew here. And I'm drawing these out for you to show what, how little resistance we really have between where we are right now and where the price could potentially go, which could be back into the 29 to 30 cent range. So let's try to create another resistance based off of the little peak that we just had here and see what that trend draws out to. So the only way we get 3 points of contact for this trend is if we just draw a straight line trend just barely above the peaks that we've set here on the hourly, right? So what that's saying to me then, and again, this is just technical analysis, so it could absolutely be debunked in the next few hours as the price plummets. But what we're seeing with rising buy volume, trade volume, as well as the price increasing and creating a bull flag essentially here. It's I'm skeptical to say bull flag because we've had such bearish volume over the last few months, or bearish volume and bearish price action in the last few months. But it does seem like this is a very bullish scenario for the price to be playing at right now. And so it's highly likely that we're going to see the price move back into the 27 or higher cent range. So it is currently, I believe, a 4% price move, 3.3% price move for XRP is likely to only continue. And as we look here at CoinMarketCap, we can see that many cryptocurrencies have had a nice little spike up, but Bitcoin has remained relatively flat. It's only increased by 1.3%, as the rest of the market, outside of Tether by the looks of it there, seems to be on this relatively healthy uptrend. EOS is just killing it. It's almost up 9% right now. And as far as what is the trigger for this, it's hard to say, but my suspicion would be that it's based around the Forbes article that I just covered, that China is re-entering the crypto market and is preparing to enable its citizens to once again begin investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. So this trend is likely to continue on the up end, but could obviously see a relatively healthy correction back down into the 26.2 cent range, and it could just play within what would be a relatively symmetrical triangle here that I've drawn out for you. Eventually, at some point though, we can expect that this is going to break, and if we continue to see increased buying volume, then that price should move to the upside. We could obviously see a whale come in and dump it, and a massive amount of sell volume comes in, and we can push our price right back down to the 25 cent range, and we'll see what happens from there. But I just found this surge to be kind of interesting due to the fact that it is breaking previous descending resistances, and you see that the price actually tried to reject off of this resistance here earlier today, but was pushed right back up through. It even gapped, it jumped back up to move into this range. It rejected a lot harder off of this 26 range, which is again the resistance that we would have created after we failed to push back up through it, this price range back on the 28th of August. So interesting price moves nonetheless from a technical perspective, but it's anybody's guess as to where the price goes from here, because of course, if we could always predict where the price is going with absolute certainty, everybody would be rich, right? So hopefully you all have taken a little bit of comfort, some solace away from the fact that the price here is seeming to be recovering and moving into a higher trading range than it has been over the course of the last few months. Again, it has topped out around where it has topped out in previous trends, or in its previous moves on the 19th, or on the 3rd of September and the 9th of September. But again, this is breaking above descending resistance, so it's more bullish of a price move up than these previous two swings, which were just playing within the descending range, within the descending wedge that the price had been in prior. And I can draw this line here for you real quick to show you that descending wedge, right? It would have been right about there, right? So get rid of all these other lines, and we'll show you the descending wedge that we broke out of here. So this is the wedge that we've broken out of today, and that's why really I'm making this video, because this is very bullish. This is very positive to see us breaking above a downward resistance. We haven't broken out of a downward resistance for months on months, all the way back to, I believe it was June 26th was the last time that we were breaking above a downward resistance, a descending resistance trend. So good to see, always nice to see, especially for what has been a several month descending resistance, to see the price breaking above it. And it's not due to oversold conditions like what we saw here when the price dumped down to 22 cents. This previous peak on the 18th of August, while you could say that that was breaking a downward resistance that would have been Actually, you can't even say that. We can't even say that because of how this played. Well, it did, just barely, right? Just barely broke above that, but then obviously came crashing down, and that was obviously due, once again, to the oversold conditions pushing it up. What we're seeing here is the price flatlined and then jumped rather suddenly off of this positive news out of China, or at least that's what I'm attributing it to. So hopefully this has been helpful to all of you out there to some degree. Again, I don't like doing TA videos too often anymore. You know, it's just, you know, I don't find value in talking about trends when the market's just trending downwards. The purpose of my channel here is to educate my viewers on the fundamentals inherent in XRP. But when we get some interesting technicals here that are suggesting we may be about to witness a reversal in trend, I get excited and obviously want to share the news with you that we may be at a turning point. Again, this is just speculation based upon the fact that we have broken out of a descending trend and are seeming to find support within this 26-cent range. While this is not a major move in a sense of it only being a 3% move, it is a technically strong move in the sense that, once again, we've broken above descending resistance. There is no descending resistance that can be applied to the price right now due to how flat the market has been relatively over the last several months, since last year essentially. So this is very nice to see. I'm hoping that we see continuation in the coming hours, days, but once again, like all things in trading, it's all speculation whenever you're talking on short-term time frames. So hope you all enjoyed. If you have, if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my crypto, primarily XRP related content, and be sure to hit that like if you think XRP is going up. And if you don't think it's going up from here, please leave a comment in the comment section about how much you hate XRP, right? At any rate, I hope to see all of you in my next video. As always, on Mars.